is it important to have a certificate of compliance, right, that you provide back? I would say yes, absolutely 100%, right, because that's something that I would look for from a vendor.
Thank you for joining us for episode 7 of the Zero State Podcast. Today we're joined by Technology Executive Oleg Ryaboy to show IT managers and directors how to talk to executives about cybersecurity using a framework that sticks, even when the board only meets a few times a year.
But the easier it is to follow the process, the more likely it is that people will actually follow it.
I hear a lot about DoD 3-pass wipe, but from a NIST perspective and security perspective, it's a waste of time and energy quite physically.
Okay, we have to talk about AI, right? Because that's the role. Now we have to worry about what information might be derived from the information that's there. And that's not even something we considered.
I'm super excited to dig into that. Welcome to the WipeOS Zero State Podcast. I am excited to have you here. Honestly, Oleg, you come referred through some mutual friends and colleagues, and it's really nice, in this setting to be able to have conversations like this. I don't think, even a few years ago, it would be something that, you could do. It would make little sense for us to connect and call and have this discussion where other people can listen to it and learn from it. And so
Great.
Appreciate you being here. With that said, I will have you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, maybe explain a little bit about your background career-wise and kind of your role in IT in a general sense.
Sure. Well, it's great to be here. So my name's Oleg. I've been a CTO at different companies, most recently mid-sized companies here in the city is Proto Labs, and before that Digital River for close to 20 years. And before that, I was a CTO at small startups. I worked at large organizations like Target and CVS. I would say mid-size is my favorite. All the love for the startups, but it's a tough gig. And in my role as CTO, of course, security, data security is a very important part of the job. But at the same time, as we all know, it's not the job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I was excited to talk about it, because I think it's very important to approach it the right way. And how to talk about it in sort of an executive setting is not something we talk about very often.
It's outstanding that you start this off this way, because we've had a challenge being a data erasure. We're not necessarily a cybersecurity firm or claiming to be the security, we're a tool to make things more secure. But it's a really interesting time, and in all senses, but at least for us from our business perspective as WipeOS, trying to figure out the right ways to make this valuable for the security side of things and for people that, are taking the steps to make sure data is managed properly. And it's one of those things that I think are really learning from our background. We come from the itad world, and that's not as much really on the security is an important part of it, but it's not in the secure environment. And that's the part that I'm really excited to try to get more involved with, get our solution in those places more, and have those relationships where, it's not something that's happening at the end of life. It's something that maybe happens at procurement or very early in the process. So there's tracking and good records that follow all the way through early in the process. Another thing, not to go too far on my tangent here, but one thing that seems to be coming about are policies that are changing from the shredding, norm of things and saying, well, if you can wipe drives on site earlier in your process, everybody wins. Environmental impacts improved, your security's better, the tracking's better, and those things are kind of happening for us. We have this podium of kind of trying to change the world from this perspective, but as you know, there's something warm and fuzzy about seeing a shredded drive in the truck, and it's done quickly, and you're like, all right.
It is definitely destroyed.
Yeah, it's definitely destroyed. But that's a part of, a lot of my own kind of passion for some of this work is like, okay, how do we figure out the best practices, across the board? So as we get into kind of learning more about you, when you look at the topic of data security, it's huge and it's broad. And as I was already talking about, cybersecurity alone is its own world and its own environment. But from sort of the C-suite view of things, I'm always making up a story of how these kind of things are discussed and looked at. But as far as in your experience, if you can tell me a little bit about from the boardroom perspective? Like,
Yes.
how is this kind of usually looked at or sort of managed, and what's been your experience with that?
Yeah. Well, let's start from the very top. From the very top of a company, let's say large company like, I don't know, Medtronic or Target or
Sure.
midsize. Well, what's the top of WipeOS? The very top.
You're saying kind of the biggest clients or the boardrooms we're in?
The board. Well, I would say for the company, right?
Yes.
What is the most important meeting you have?
Oh, interesting. That's a good question. I would say it's very different. So we have data center environments that are very different than some, let's say, medical, end users that are saying they want to be HIPAA compliant.
Yeah.
So the names and the level of what you're asking, I guess, kind of change. But we have various, I guess, relationships and conversations there. So
Well, right now, for most companies, all public companies, most private companies, the highest level you can go, the most important meeting is the board meeting,
sure,
right?
that makes sense. That's
Right?
yeah.
So these are the people who are in charge of the CEO, right? They can fire the CEO, right? And for most companies, they meet every quarter, so 4 times a year, and they talk about the strategic direction of the company, all of the financials of the company, all of the ongoing projects, just a complete review of how the company is doing from the perspective of the owners or the shareholders of the company.
Sure.
Now, if you were to guess, for a typical company, how often does the topic of cybersecurity come up?
I would, from my chair, I would hope every meeting, but it sounds like it's a policy written in stone a decade ago and probably doesn't come up too often.
No, you're actually right. It's every time.
Every time. Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
For most companies, it is a standing topic.
Okay.
It could be a standing topic maybe in one of the committees, usually the audit subcommittee, or maybe it's a topic for the entire board, but not one of the top topics.
Sure.
The one towards the bottom,
Always
towards
on
the
the
end of the
list.
day, but it's a small one, but it's there. For some companies, it's both in the audit committee and in the entire board committee, right? You go into the details in the audit committee, then you kind of review with the whole board. So that's great news.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other hand, the way those conversations usually go is that it's some sort of an update about some of the project from the massive grab bag of the security things that are going on.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
So sometimes it would be and by the way, here's what we're doing for, I don't know, firewall upgrades, and here's how we're doing on our mock phishing email execution. And then, hey, we had that penetration testing test, and here's how that's going, and then there's a compliance conversation.
Yeah.
And so the way it can happen is that the board members get the update on the projects, but they're left with, I would say, a feeling of some dissatisfaction. Like there is some important work going on, but the ultimate question is not answered, right? The reason why that topic is at every meeting is ultimately because they want to know, well, are we good?
Are we secure?
Are we secure?
Is everything covered?
Right. And that is not a question that most people will answer without like an asterisk and maybe a couple of pages of footnotes, right? So, and so that happens sort of meeting to meeting, right? Now, to make things even worse, right? They're meeting only 4 times a year. Chances are they don't remember all of the things they were told.
Yep.
So even if you have kind of a conversation, 3 months later, you're almost going to have it again.
This has been a topic as well that I recently ran into at an IT expo or conference, but it was how much data is kept sort of unknowingly or unwilling to touch. There's data sometimes just stored that is a liability. And instead of just having some policies that you terminate it, you delete it, and it's gone, it kind of stays on that list of agenda items that you're kind of always going, well, what's going on with that segment of our data or our storage or our network, right? Which I think is related a bit to what you're talking about, because there's always a level of uncertainty because there's sort of loose ends that don't get completely shut down, especially in quarterly meetings. You're not necessarily looking back and picking up where you left off. You're kind of just going, okay, what are our concerns today? And are we monitoring those or addressing them? So I think one thing that's been, and again, kind of just a new concept for me, is this idea about data that is sort of kept that could be destroyed with tools like ours, or in some ways reduce that liability by saying, okay, well, we don't have things on our network or on our drives that, need to be monitored or are concerns because we're actively doing more data destruction. So it's a kind of concept that I'm still sort of feeling my way through as sort of more of a best practice, I think, in a lot of organizations kind of thinking for them. So that's why it's nice to kind of get the perspective and where you're going with this from the boardroom side of things, especially on the security part. It's funny because, again, thinking about data that's sort of unnecessarily kept around, that's probably not going to come up in that meeting. That's not going to that's kind of granular, right? That starts to be...
Well, it has to do with how we talk about it, right? Because I would say that sort of a view, right? Here are these folks, they are worried about the performance of the company, right? Most of their attention is going to be towards how they're doing from the revenue perspective, right? But it is a topic that they're interested in. But at the same time, even though it's covered every time, which is great, they don't get the answer to their question, really. And I would say that that is very similar to how that conversation goes all the way down to the director of security, right?
Yep.
The conversation of the CEO with the CIO is often very much similar, right? It is something that is being talked about, but usually it's an update on some current projects. And again, there is this feeling of like, yeah, but overall, like, are we good? Because we seem to like bringing up now new things, right? So are we like ever done, or is it just IT folks just asking for more IT budget, right? Right? And then it goes all the way down, right? Even the CIO talking to the director of security, right? They understand it much more, but still, it's like, usually the answer is, well, here's what the budget that we have, let's just fit it in the budget, right? So I think part of it is figuring out how do we talk about this, where we actually answer the question, right? You're not going to say, yes, we're good, no worries, everything is super secure, right? But we still need a framework to say, here is an answer that covers all the aspects of security, but at the same time, is something that somebody can look at a glance and kind of see where we are.
Yeah, can measure, can monitor.
Right, and they don't need to remember a bunch of things. They can just kind of look at it and see.
Interesting.
So, so the way I've approached this, right, is that there are different frameworks. The one I like is from NIST. It's called the CSF, Cybersecurity Framework, I think, which is, it's 6 categories and 22 subcategories. So you can have like a little table.
You know it well.
Right? But the main thing about it is that you can basically color every one of these 22 subcategories and say, here's how we're looking. And look, these are green, these are yellow, these are orange. You might not want to have red unless you really need to have red, right? And then at a glance, you can say, look, board, CEO, CIO, whatever, VP of IT. Here's where we are, right? And now they know, look, everything is covered, right? Every single aspect of security is here, and I can see where we are good, and I can see where we need to focus on. And I would say even more so, right? It is a good way to talk about it because then you give people the assurance that everything is covered, and now this is why you're talking about the specific things you're talking about. But also, it's a good internal tool. I would say that very often maybe not us, maybe not anybody listening to this podcast, but those other companies, right? We don't really take the time to revisit all the things, to see where we are from the security perspective, right? We just kind of are going with ongoing things, the top priority projects, right? But it's good to reset because some of the things are changing under our feet, right? What was true before is not necessarily true anymore, right? So it's good to have that and revisit and say, well, what has changed? Either because we are better now or because the world changed around us. Maybe some of the things that used to be green now need to be orange. Maybe some of the things that used to be orange are now yellow because we've taken off, right? But now it gives you a way to also assess your own job, our own job, right? And have a consistent conversation about it.
So that framework, is that something you developed on top of the NIST guidelines, or is it very literal in that sense? Because I'm familiar with NIST just from the 88.088 wiping method, the algorithm that is a wiping method that we use for the NIST standard. But
if you look up NIST CSF, I think it's something like NIST CSF 2.0, right?
Yeah.
You will see that categorization. Now, it's not in the table format, but it's easy enough, right? It's 6 categories, and each one has, 2 to 5 subcategories, right? So it's easy to create it. So it's an easy table that you can show somebody, right? And data ratio would be right there under data security, which is the subcategory is data security. So it's under protect. And I think that way it has its place, right? And as you sort of evaluate the overall security stance, right, you will go through every aspect and you will say, all right, well, what has changed from the data security perspective? Boy, have things changed, right?
Boy, have they, and
All right,
always.
maybe we need
Yeah.
to see, like, what is it now for us and what's the priority of this aspect compared to the rest of the securities.
I'm super excited to dig into that, to be honest, because we, as an organization, and even just colleagues around IT, there's always the same feeling you talk about from the boardroom. There's a little bit of that mystery in are we doing things right? Is this secure? People well-intentioned saying, okay, we've wiped drives and we believe those certificates are valid, but is there anything missing? Anything else we should think about? And it's like that guidance would be a nice way, because I don't necessarily want to be, take my word for it, or as a software company, we're not necessarily promising all the guidance and everything, but I do want to have resources for best practices and more of that, those resources available, and really define how we plug into that. Because I think, again, I'm excited to kind of explore this more, because that framework makes it appropriate when you're trying to be a tool or facilitate, those guidelines. You can show where you plug in, right? Where we can help. And I think a lot of that's been very vague. And frankly, I think in this entire subject, the challenge, and that's another question for you, is with so much noise around like vendors and things people are offering that are supposed to make this all so magically easy. I mean, how do you, I guess at those meetings and when you're kind of looking at improving policies or doing things, I mean, are there a lot of assessing of tools and constantly having to sort of figure out, how are we securing things, or where are things being managed? Or is it a little more of, from your experience, I guess, we have this framework and we know how to manage this. I don't know, I guess from my mind, I imagine there's a lot of lots of noise of like, hey, we can take care of that for you. Managed services and different things can secure things for you. So how do you navigate some of that, I guess?
Well, so that would be very different from company to company,
Sure.
Right? I would say that one thing that is constant from company to company is that those conversations become much more active in the sort of budget planning stage for the next year.
Yeah, right. Makes sense. Totally.
Right? But if your question is, how does one approach choosing between different vendors, right? My personal preference is that I want it to be easy for people to do the quote-unquote the right thing, right? Because one can put together a process, but the easier it is to follow the process, the more likely it is that people will actually follow it, right? So, for example, let's say we are looking at a solution where anytime, let's say we're talking about people's laptops, right? Somebody leaves the company, you get their laptop, and then it sits on the desk, and then at some point where maybe you decided to erase it, the company comes in and picks it up once a quarter or something, right? Or something else happens when you need that laptop, right? I'd be worried about what happens in the middle of this, right? Because we've all been in IT companies, right? Sure, it might just sit there, or maybe somebody has a special project and they're like, oh, hey, what's that thing doing there, right? Oh, hey, there's a server, you're not using it, let me use that, right? So the simpler things are, right? If I can say, look, anytime somebody returns a laptop, you already have a checklist, right? Did we get their docking station? Did we get their keyboard, right? Might as well add another checklist there. Run the erasure on their device, and that way, even if it's sitting someplace, it's already done, right? The easier it is to do things, the more likely it is that people will actually follow them. Not because there's anything wrong with the people, but everybody has so many things to do, right?
More than ever.
Yeah.
That wraps up part 1 of Cybersecurity That Speaks Executive. We hope this conversation gave you a new perspective on how to make cybersecurity discussions truly resonate with executives. In part 2, we continue our conversation with Oleg, focusing on how AI is changing conversations around security. Hope you join us.